Yeah, unfortunately, this is a really good question, and unfortunately, I agree with the employer. If an individual tests positive for COVID-19 in your workplace, the employer can't just tell you the name of the individual who tested positive because there are HIPAA requirements that the employer needs to follow as well. But under AB 685, your employer is required to tell you other types of information, such as that an individual that you worked around did test positive for COVID-19. An individual in this work site, an individual in the specific work area in this work site tested positive. And those are just some of the notice requirements that AB 685 puts into play. So thank you for tuning in to this channel. Thanks for tuning into this course, and I hope you were able to find the rest of your answers to your questions in this lesson plan. This is actually a really good question, Trevor. So Congress actually chose specifically not to extend the Family First Coronavirus Response Act past December 31st, 2020, which means that employers are no longer required to provide their employees with emergency paid sick leave and extended family and medical leave. However, Congress still allowed employers to take advantage of a tax credit all the way up until March 31st, 2021, if that employer allows its employees to take those types of protected leave under the Families First Coronavirus Response Act. So for example, if your employer chooses to provide certain employees with emergency paid sick leave, the employer is able to take advantage of that tax credit for doing so. If your employer chooses not to provide employees extended family medical leave or emergency paid sick leave, then they don't need to. And that's what Congress had in our omnibus bill. This is actually a really good question too, and the answer is it depends. In the state of California, your employer is required to pay you out as part of your last paycheck all unused and accrued vacation time that you have had throughout your employment. Now, there's a couple different situations here. Number one, your employer is allowed to roll over your accrued but unused vacation days to the following year. And secondly, your employer is also able to make sure you cash out your accrued but unused vacation hours at the end of any given year. It's all dependent on what your employment contract says and what's in your employee handbook. And here's the reason why employers want to do this. The reason employers want to do this is because obviously if you stay at the company over a series of years or a set period of time, your salary will increase. And if your salary increases when they pay you out your vacation time, they have to pay you that higher amount. So they're trying to pay you the lower amount while they can. My new online course that teaches California employees about the notice requirements pursuant to COVID-19 will tell you that starting January 1st, 2021, your employers are no longer required to provide you with emergency paid sick leave or extended family and medical leave, but your employer is still able to receive a tax credit if they provide that type of leave to the employees. And we're going to go over that and more. Starting January 1st, 2021, new California legislation has been enacted, so your employer is required to give you certain notice requirements if they find out any of your coworkers have tested positive for COVID-19 in the workplace. Now this is big, and for a lot of different reasons, because number one, the notice requirement has always been in the gray area this past year, and it's always something that's been on top of our minds, especially for essential workers and people who are still going into work every single day. So just like this video, that online course will be covered with closed captioning because I feel that this information needs to be shared with the masses. So watch out for that course to drop in the next week and a half. One of my New Year's resolutions is to help the people of California. It is to help the people of the San Francisco Bay Area. What's one of yours?